Welcome back to my mini-series on Nearpod. In this final video, we will see what Nearpod looks like from the teacher's point of view as you share your materials in a synchronous or asynchronous setting. We will also check out how to view reports so that they can aid you with formative assessments. You might recognize what we're looking at right now. Once again, we are beginning with the sample lesson we created in the first video. We are viewing the sample lesson from the teacher's point of view as this lesson is being shared synchronously with the students. How does this work? Well, as we talked about in the last video, synchronous use of Nearpod materials begins when the students log into the Nearpod activity using the link and access code provided to them by the teacher. The teacher controls the pace of the lesson, selecting when to move on to each activity, all the while continuing to talk to the students via the video conferencing app. So let's jump right into it. I've just clicked the little next arrow button, and you might recognize that we are at our poll question. Of course, from the teacher's view in a live setting, this slide looks a little different than it did from the student's point of view, but you can recognize it by that question at the top of the screen. Now, watch what happens as students start answering the question. I begin to see how students are reacting to the question, which is useful feedback for me as the instructor. Aside from what I might do with this information to inform my instruction, I also have some Nearpod provided options for what to do with this information. For one, I can decide if I want their responses to be anonymous or not, which I can control using the Hide Student Names button. In addition to this, I can decide if I want to share answers with the class as a whole. I do this by clicking the Share button, and then the whole class can see the answers that have been selected. Okay, so let's move on to the open-ended question. The students are starting to answer the question, so I'll give them a moment to see what they've said. The answers will start coming in here shortly. Sometimes there's a little delay as they type. Oh, okay. I like this answer here, and I would like to share it with the whole class. So I do that again by clicking the Share button. So that is the teacher's view of a Nearpod lesson that has been shared synchronously. Unfortunately, we don't have time today to look at the Collaborate board, but it works much in the same way as the other materials did. So let's shift our focus now to how these materials were shared with students. To do this, we need to go back to the Nearpod dashboard, and I'm going to click on the item I'd like to share. The first option you see is the student paced method. In the student paced method, students access your materials asynchronously. You will see from this little menu that you can have the students access this asynchronous material by providing them with the login code, emailing them, sharing on social, etc. Choose the option that functions most easily with your agency's method for sharing and storing asynchronous materials. All right, so for synchronous sharing, Nearpod has the live participation option and live participation plus Zoom. These two options work just like the sample I gave earlier, where the students access Nearpod materials in real time as the teacher controls the pace of the lesson. In both options, you will again see a menu where you can select how you would like to have your students access the Nearpod materials, so they work essentially the same way. The only difference between the two options is that with live participation plus Zoom, the students can use the access code to link to log into Zoom and Nearpod simultaneously, so it serves as an option for some teachers who may want to use it if they'd like to begin each lesson from Nearpod right away, rather than having students log into Nearpod partway through the lesson. So we've seen what synchronous Nearpod lessons look like from the teacher's point of view. We've also seen 3 methods for sharing your Nearpod activities and lessons with students. Let's use the rest of our time to see how to use Nearpod reports for formative assessments. So to access reports, click the reports menu on the left-hand side of the screen. And then from there, I can see the full list of items that I've shared with my students synchronously or asynchronously. I'm a little curious to see how the students did with that sample video I made earlier. So I select the session in which the students did this activity. So I get a quick summary report of the students' interaction, but I'm going to click where it says interactive video to get some more information. When I click there, it takes me to a summary of how the students answered each of the embedded questions in the video. If I click this little icon, I then get a list of each individual student's answers to each individual question. And that way, I can quickly assess who understood the video well and who might need some additional attention. So that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining me for this final video in the series, where we reviewed what Nearpod looks like from the teacher's point of view. We saw how to share Nearpod activities with students, and we also saw how to access Nearpod reports. Have a great day.